our soil. Good morning. My name is Alessandro Bosso from Art Earth, the development agency in Emilia-Romagna, which is the partner to this project. And after the previous presentations about what we mean when we talk about sustainable soil management, I would like to focus on how to enhance the green areas and try to economically harness the effects of sustainable practices for the whole sector of the whole sector of vines. Too far, we have talked about the benefits that we can draw if the soil is well managed. If the soil is characterized by good quality, we'll get good grapes. The contrary is also true, or rather, if we have sustainable vine management, that can be very positive for the soil as well. A sustainable management of vineyards leads to a series of benefits for both society and the environment, one of which is the reduction of the quantity of soil that is removed by meteoric waters. So it reduces soil instability. And then also, there is water that penetrates through the soil and stores a higher quantity of water. Well, a soil that is sustainably managed increases the quantity of CO2 that is absorbed by the soil, so it mitigates climate change effects. There is an improvement also in terms of species consistency, microbial mass, and this is very important because biodiversity is at the very core of all the other services that we're mentioning. Moreover, it has very positive effect in terms of landscape. For instance, in the Piacenza hilly areas, vineyards are part of the landscape identity. So if it is managed in such a way that it does not lead to erosion or any type of instability, if it is well managed, there is an ensuring a good effect on the landscape, which is part of the local identity. These are benefits, these are advantages, but they could be considered to be ecosystemic services. The concept is very simple. These are the services that the ecosystem can provide us all, and since they're good for humans, they can have market values. And what we've done was to try and analyze what is the value of such services and how sustainable farmers can be remunerated. So we should improve the soil not only to have better yields, but also to ensure that there are advantages for local communities and the environment at large. Some data in the pilot vineyards, where some of the identified techniques were applied, permanent and temporary grass covering and green mature and absorption of carbon, we actually obtained these results. 85% of the eroded soil in less, plus 55% accumulated water, 15% CO2 absorbed more than with the other techniques. Preservation of biodiversity And the landscape quality, which is very important. However, there is a qualitative effect, and that can not be measured. But we have some economic estimations, and we estimated a certain value per hectare per year. In some cases, there are services that are very interesting. These are the ones that are linked to safety, such as erosion protection, water management, 700 to 600 euros per year, carbon absorption 28, biodiversity preservation 57, and landscape quality 46. Why are these estimations important? Because we are aiming at finding remuneration systems so that the farmers offer these services. They're considered to be suppliers, and if there are public or private beneficiaries that enjoy such services and that are willing to pay the extra cost to the farmers, a virtuous mechanism is started so that remunerated farmers can invest what they get in other sustainable techniques, and this ecosystem services can not only be remunerated but enhanced and extended. We carried out some feasibility studies, 4 of them that are showed here. Then we'll focus on one in particular. But with regard to erosion, protection from erosion, there is an experiment carried out with the Piacenza Consortium, because our idea is that of obtaining a contribution for reclamation for those farmers who carry out sustainable practices. Because in this case, the hydrogeological element is very important, because if you are managing your soil in a certain way, the soil where the vineyard is located is less subject to instability. Then we have also a private payment of services through the whole chain. Then there is another pilot that is carried out in the Western Emilia parks. The fact that sustainable agriculture improves soil diversity is something that is highly praised by parks. The objective is that of finding the funds that are necessary in order to remunerate farmers that opt for those techniques. In this case, we can reinvest part of the proceeds from the museum entrance fees. And there is a 4th pilot linked to landscape, the Parma association. This is a Parma association grouping a series of areas below the mountains, and tourism here is very rural, and vineyards, both in terms of winemaking and also in terms of landscape, is a pull factor. That's why this Parma association, through the technical contribution of the project technicians, because we actually offered some robust estimations, well, they decided to reinvest a part of the state tax, the tax that the tourist tax, that is paid by tourists to all hotels in the area. Well, part of such tax is reinvested to pay those farmers who opt for the techniques that have been described by the previous speakers, thus contributing to the appeal of the area and to the enhancement of the landscape. What I've illustrated so far are public initiatives, whereas here, well, actually, it's a public slash private. These are private slash public slash private initiatives, whereas this is a private. This project is totally private. The case of a chain and valorization, we have some farmers, the so-called demo farmers, who decide to invest. Some investment is necessary on the part of farmers as well. Well, they decide to invest in the production of grape according to this technique. We are carrying out the pilot project with Cantine Bonelli, which is a farm in Piacenza, but once the system is actually validated, it will be open to all. Well, this company decides to give a recognition to sustainable farmers. So grapes bought from sustainable farmers are paid an extra price based upon the yeast. And in this case, the wine is typical of Val Trebbia. It is called Ortrugo. Well, there is a cost per quintal, and winemakers actually pay an extra cost for grapes that are grown in a sustainable manner. This is the first step. Winemakers pay an extra cost to growers who, over time, can continue it's a sustainable practice because this extra effort is paid by the market. And this is the first part. The second part is this. The processor, and in this case the winery, considers that sustainable grape can actually offer a competitive advantage. So they're willing to pay an extra cost for ethical reasons because they think that sustainability is an important element for the valley and for farming practices. But they also think that this element can be highly praised by consumers. So in order to ensure that the system is sustainable from an economic point of view, we have to ensure visibility. The rationale is similar to the one that is applied to brands. We need to try and ensure a transparent way to communicate through the bottle, through the label, so that consumers can know that the wine they're buying is produced in a sustainable way. So some information is to be entered on the label or on the box, etc. So the project partners drafted a regulation that established the project rules. And here we are in the framework of the LIFE EU program. There is a period, the afterlife period, that has a duration of 3 to 5 years. So the logo has this specific value. Those who decide to purchase grapes that are grown in this way have the possibility, once they give clear indications about the quantity of grapes and where the grape was produced, because we need to ascertain that the grape is produced in a sustainable manner. So they can use the logo. There is also a slogan, a wine for the earth. This is the slogan that was conceived. And also, there needs to be a way so that anyone with a with a QR code, can link to an environmental statement, which is a very simple document where the environmental performances, that is, the advantages that are linked to water or other ecosystem systems, are included, so that consumers can understand what means sustainable farming for that particular grape and wine. This pathway can also be carried out whenever the farmer and the winemaker coincide. In this case as well, there is no purchase of grapes, but the logo can still be used, and this pathway can be followed anyway. Thank you.